Officer, let me show you two groups of photos, 851 to 874, as well as 876 to 881. Just take a look at those if you will, please, sir.
Small copy, please get that GM from you, sir. Well, you can take it from me.
Through 874, 876 through 881. Let's take a look at those two groups real quick, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And what are those photos of?
These are different pairs of shoes that were found throughout the house.
And you were asked to take pictures in case there was a need to, for any further processing of those items, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You know, I'm not going to show those right now, they'll be available. Show you Exhibit 875. You recognize what that is, sir?
Yes, sir.
And what was that?
It was a photograph that I had taken inside the residence. I believe this was in the master bedroom.
Well, let me show you a prior photo. Exhibit 758, see if that refreshes your memory about where that was located.
Okay. Yes, sir. I correct myself. That was on the coffee table in the living room.
Okay, thank you. And that was 758. Show you this group of photos, 882 through 898, please. Tell us what those are photographs of.
Yes, sir. These are overall photographs of the vehicles that were in the driveway of 102 Creekston.
In 882, can you tell from that photo what kind of car that is?
Yes, sir. I believe it was a blue Dodge Charger.
And 883 is just a different view of that vehicle.
Yes, sir.
And was it, do you recall, was it pulled in or was it backed into the spot there?
I don't recall. I believe all of them were backed in, but I don't specifically recall.
Okay, well, let me show you another picture that might be better. $885, and
Yes, sir. It was pulled straight in.
okay. And it doesn't appear up on the screen, but on the monitor, you see the duplex in the background, or is that the duplex?
Yes, sir. It will be in the upper left-hand corner. Will be the address 102.
Okay. In 888, kind of dark there, I guess. Can you tell what kind of car that was at all? Or not?
I believe it's an Acura, but
It was a different vehicle.
yes, sir.
$892.
Yes, sir. A Chevy or a GMC Suburban, Chevy Suburban. Yes, sir, a golden color Honda Accord.
And that's in 898 as well?
Yes, sir.
Let me show you this last group of photos, 899 through 907. Tell us what those are photographs of.
Yes, sir, I think the diagram got put in.
Okay.
These are photographs of the area to the south of the duplex and a Roadmaster bicycle that was located in that area. It was a small wooded area.
And do you recall, as you faced the duplex from the street, where was that bicycle located?
It would have been to the right, between the residence itself and Bowley Drive. There was a small wooded area.
Let me retrieve the state's first set of photographs. Particularly, sir, State's Exhibit number 26. Do you recognize that particular aerial photograph and what it's depicting, sir?
Yes, sir, I do.
And what is that?
In the center of the photograph is the location of the duplex that 102 is located in.
Let me turn that. And do you see in that photograph the approximate area where you recall finding the bicycle? Is it in there?
Yes, sir, I believe that it was in this group of trees here, if I'm not mistaken, because it was adjacent to this white fence that's located on the corner, so I believe it was right in this area.
And State's 899 depicts that white fence.
Yes, sir, that's the fence, and this is walking up to the area that the bike was located, and I believe it's on the left side over here.
And 900 shows what?
This is, again, approaching the bike. The photograph shows a little bit of the bicycle, the reflectors that are on it, located back in the brush.
State's 901 is what, sir?
This is the Roadmaster bike that was located in that wooded area. I actually seized that at the end of the examination.
And 902.
It's another photograph of the bicycle and the position that it was in when I was taken dead.
903.
It's just a close-up photograph of the bicycle for documentary purposes.
And 904 is after you retrieved it and it was standing upright.
Yes, sir.
And then 904 and 905 was showing what, sir?
This is showing the serial number for that bicycle that was on the sprocket.
And did you seize that particular bicycle, sir?
Yes, sir, I did.
Going back to State's Exhibit 742, as I zoom in there, see a bicycle next to the apartment beside 102 there?
Yes, sir.
And that bicycle in that photo, was that different than the bicycle you seized in the brush?
Yes, sir.
area?
That's a completely different bicycle.
Okay. Now, Sarah, you can get the light, please. As far as that, you indicated the items you seized. You seized that bicycle, is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
And the other items you seized in that particular residence, the cell phones, the box of ammo, and the weapon itself?
Yes, sir.
And everything else you documented by photograph?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And display to you, if I can, go ahead and pull it out if you will, what I'll mark as State's Exhibit number 9 and 10. The witness stepped down and examined the items, Judge. See if you recognize that particular item, sir.
Is it 9 and 10?
Yes.
Yes, sir. This is the bicycle that I recovered that day.
And the property receipt attached to that, is that your property receipt that you filled out at that time?
Yes, sir, it is.
Where you seized it and placed it into evidence?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We can just put that back where it was, Judge. State's Exhibit 911. You recognize that item, sir?
Yes, sir, I do.
What is that item?
This is a bag that contains the 4 paper evidence bags and the 4 cell phones that I collected on that day.
At that time, were you aware whether they had any evidentiary value? Is that right?
Yes, sir, I had no idea they were going to be collected. If they needed to be examined at a later time, they could be so.
And Your Honor, I would tender into evidence State's Exhibit 910 as well as 911.
Objection. No, sir, Your Honor, I just like to look in the bag whenever they do it, or they can show it how they
Go
want
ahead
to
and
do
look
it.
it now, that's fine.
So is there any objection to items number 9, 10, and 9, 11?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Let me show you what I've marked as State's Exhibit 912. This will be one that will go to the agent. I think you need to look at it.
Judge, that's what I think it is.
I don't know.
Have them identify that, please. No. 912 has a plastic bag with a property receipt is attached to a brown bag containing an item. Do you recognize those particular items, sir?
Yes, sir, I do.
And what is that?
This is the bag containing the box of Winchester .40 caliber ammunition that was collected from the house.
Your Honor, we would tender 912 into evidence at this time.
No objection.
No, sir, Your Honor.
And may he display that and pull out the contents of the brown bag that's attached to that.
You may.
Just, I'll ask you when you get back on the stand. just show them the outside of the box first of all, and then I'll have you open up show everybody that, if you would. Okay, put it back in. That item, sir, sorry, let's take a stand. Go ahead. After retrieving it, you put it in that brown bag and sealed it, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And obviously that brown bag is, looks like it's torn some, but when you put it in there, it was not torn.
That's correct.
But is that your writing on the brown bag?
Yes, sir, it is.
And is that obviously in the same condition it was when you seized it, photographed it, and then seized it there that day?
Yes, sir, it is.
Let me show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 913. You recognize that box, first of all, sir?
Yes, sir, I do.
Is that your handwriting on it?
Yes, sir,
And
it
what
is.
what does that box indicate is contained there?
This is the evidence box that I packaged the Smith & Wesson .40 caliber pistol into on the 25th of March.
And does it appear to have some markings as if it went to the crime lab afterwards for testing?
Yes, sir, it
And
does.
how is that denoted on that box?
They do it in two ways on this box. One is that there's a barcode stamp that has the crime lab case number and indicating what the item of evidence is. That barcode sticker is on the top or the front and the back of the box. The box is also sealed with blue crime scene, or crime lab rather, evidence tape and initialed by crime lab personnel.
And with your permission, may that box be opened? You definitely may have something to be able to help the agent open that up with, to examine the contents of that, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize that item, sir?
I do.
And what is that item or those items that are contained in that box?
One is the Smith & Wesson .40 caliber pistol, and that's verified by the serial number, and then the magazine that was included with the pistol when I collected that. There are also 2 bags that contain apparent exemplars that the crime lab has put in the bag, or in the box, right?
When they tested that, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And at the time you retrieved that particular item, well, let me add to this, is there the property receipt attached in there?
No, sir, it's not.
And do you have a copy of the property receipt that you filled out on that day?
Yes, sir, I do.
And in the magazine, how many rounds were actually contained in the magazine?
There were 7 in the magazine, and then there was 1 in the chamber, so there were a total of 8 in the pistol.
Okay. And that's the weapon you recovered from the coffee table at the time?
Yes, sir, it is.
And at the time you recovered it, was the live round in the chamber itself?
Yes, it
Was
was.
the magazine loaded into the firearm?
Yes, sir, it was.
And it was recovered in the condition that you photographed it on the coffee table at that time before you seized it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, I would tender State's Exhibit number 913 into evidence at this time, and its contents.
No, sir, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, may he display, if he can, the weapon without the magazine or any rounds at this time?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. matter of housekeeping, let me show you State's Exhibit 914 and 915, please. Yes. (914), first of all, look at that and see if you recognize it, please.
Yes, so the packaging is not mine, if I can look inside.
Please do.
Yes, sir.
And what is 914, please?
These are latent lift cards from latent fingerprints that I recovered from the Chevrolet Caprice on March 22nd, 2011.
Okay. And were those the ones that were processed there off the street there at Old Winterville in Dublin, or was it taken to a particular garage to be processed?
Yes, so the Caprice was taken to the GBI office in Athens, and it was processed for fingerprints that evening.
And you were the one that did that?
Yes.
And those are the list for that?
Yes, sir, they are.
And in case there was a need to analyze those prints later for some reason?
Yes, sir, that's
Okay,
correct.
thank you. And look at 915, please.
Yes, sir.
And what are those items?
These are latent lift cards from latent fingerprints that I recovered from the Chevrolet. I believe it was the Suburban. Yes, sir. It was on the Suburban. So these are latent lift cards with prints that were developed on the Suburban and collected onto the cards by me.
And when you processed that Suburban, that red Suburban, was it at a particular scene or was it at a separate compound building?
Yes, sir. It was at a separate location, and I don't specifically remember where it was. I don't specifically recall right now.
You processed that for any possible latents in case there was a need to
Yes, sir.
actually analyze those later?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would tender 914 and 915 into evidence at this time.
Can you object?
No, sir, Your Honor.
And Mr. Foster, if I can, going back to 910, the bicycle, what did you do with that after you seized it and from the scene there on March 25th?
That was the extent of my involvement with that. I took it to the evidence room at the Athens office and signed it into the evidence room, and that was all that was done.
Athens office of the GBI?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How about 9/11, the cell phones?
The same. They were taken, it was actually the next morning, it was March 26th, but they were taken to the Athens GBI office and put in the evidence vault.
And how about the box of Winchester ammo, the 50 rounds of those that you found there on the curio cabinet? What did you do with those items once you seized them?
The same. They were taken and placed into the evidence vault at the Athens GBI office.
And then lastly, 913, the weapon as well as the magazine and the one live round that you seized. What did you do with those items?
They was also placed in the GBI evidence vault at the Athens office.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions this time. But
May cross-examine.
Y'all hear me over? Afternoon, Mr. Foster. I know that when you first testified today, you said something about you didn't found that gun hole in that Cadillac. Where'd that come from?
I don't understand your question.
You testified that you went back and you noticed there was a gun hole in the right passenger side door of my Cadillac. You testified one day that you didn't see the gun hole. What made you change your mind?
No, sir. I testified that I didn't remember there being a gun hole. I believe that was the last time I testified. During that testimony, I think that you showed me a photograph of the gun, the bullet hole in the door. That sparked my memory, and that's what caused me to go back and review my pictures.
Okay. Did you put anything, you had a written report on the case, correct?
Correct.
Okay, did you put anything about that gunshot hole in your written statement?
No.
What caused you to not put that in there?
The only thing I can think is that at the time, there was no information that that had anything to do with the kidnapping of Jadon Brooks. It wasn't a relevant piece of evidence. It was something that occurred at some other time before I was exposed to the car. I probably should have had a couple lines in my summary about that, but obviously it's not, it wasn't written in the report.
Okay, so a gunshot bullet hole in anybody's car though, that one caused you to investigate that, to see why it happened or what happened? Did that rest across your mind?
That's not an uncommon event.
Okay, it's not an uncommon event. But you said this car was involved in some type of carjacking or anything, is that correct?
I believe it was involved in a kidnapping.
Okay, kidnapping, carjacking, that's what y'all were looking for, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you tell us you didn't do no investigation on this visible gunshot hole right in the Cadillac?
The only thing that I can recall about it was that I asked if there was a shooting involved during the kidnapping of Jadon Brooks, and at the time that we processed the car, there wasn't any information that there was a gunshot involved in the kidnapping. So the gunshot was not relevant to what I was there for.
Okay. I think you just stated something about some latent prints, fingerprints of that Chevy Caprice. What made you bring that up today?
I was asked about latent fingerprint cards.
Okay, tell us about the latent prints that you got off that Chevy Caprice. Would you agree that that can lead you to the person who was driving that Chevy Caprice?
Possibly.
Possible.
Yes.
But tell us about the fingerprints that you found.
I don't understand your question.
Could you tell us about the latent prints that you found, the fingerprints that you found on the Chevy Caprice? Could you tell us about those fingerprints, sir?
Okay. All I can tell you is that I processed the Chevy Caprice for fingerprints and collected those fingerprints. Those were turned over to someone else for identification. It wasn't done by me, so that's all that I can tell you about those.
But you did have the fingerprints of that Cadillac turned over to Sergeant Rafford or somebody to identify them fingerprints, right?
Now, I specifically placed them into the evidence room at the Athens GBI office. I didn't turn them over to anybody particular.
Well, how did they get turned over? I mean, you know, if they got turned over, how did the fingerprint get turned over?
Sir, I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
But you would agree that these fingerprints can help us solve the case, when you think that?
Yes, sir, that's why we take fingerprints.
Okay, how about, have y'all found anybody driving that Chevy Caprice? Who was driving it? Do you know? Did the fingerprint lead you to anybody who was driving that car?
Sir, I don't know the results of any of the fingerprint examinations.
Well, who might know that?
The fingerprint examiner.
Okay. Well, how did they, you the one process them, so you had to put them somewhere for somebody to get them so they could test them out, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, well, tell us the process then.
My process was to place them in the evidence room at the Athens GBI office. That was my end of the involvement with all the evidence. It stopped at that point. I had no further involvement with the evidence before I came to court.
Did you do a change of custody with that?
Yes.
Okay, look, boy,
Sir?
what is it? The change of custody property, boy, is that?
I have one that's, I don't believe it's complete, but I can tell you what the one that I have, how it ends.
Okay, but what you mean you don't have one that's not complete? What is the incomplete one? Let's talk about this incomplete change of custody sheet that you're supposed to complete. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
I'm listening.
I didn't know that was a question.
Okay, could you tell us where it's at?
It should be with the evidence.
Can we see it?
I don't have it, sir.
And you know you're going to testify about the fingerprints today?
I don't know if I was specifically going to testify about that. What I'm saying is that the property receipt is with the evidence. The evidence is on the table down here. That's the complete property receipt is the one that's connected to the evidence now. The property receipt stays with the evidence at each step that the evidence takes.
Okay, I see. You want to say exhibit 914, Lacey Prince of Chevy Caprice that we talked about? 914, she'll take us there. Well, could you let me sit on one, Jesse?
Yes, sir.
You got to change the custody sheet in there?
There's not one in here.
Why not?
I don't know.
I thought you processed it.
I did process it. I've got a copy of it, but I don't have a copy with me. Sir, my involvement ended where this goes into the vault at the Region 11 office, at the Athens office.
Did you do any more change of custody property sheets in this case?
Yes.
So why you ain't got that for this?
Sir, this has gone beyond my custody. This went to the evidence room, and it has gone somewhere else beyond that.
But you the first one who tested, right? You the one who
Yes.
processed it, correct?
And there was a property receipt with it when it went into the evidence room at the Athens office. And that's as much as I can tell you about that.
How many changes custody property sheet did you do in this case?
I don't have a number. Every item that was collected as evidence was listed on the chain of custody.
You didn't want to hide who drove that car. That's why you didn't complete it. You ain't hiding that number.
Yeah, that's an improper question. It was argumentative for him to do that. We continue to ask him about that. I think he explained his part of the process.
Objection sustained.
Can I just be heard for the record on the objection? Okay. Judge, he bringing in evidence, and he knew exactly what it was, but ain't no change in custody property sheet. That change in custody property sheet would have told us who took it from him and what they done with it. See, that's my whole thing. They bringing in evidence on certain things, they hide their hands on the next. That's what my problem is.
I would object to his response as being outside the scope of really responding to the objection.
Original objection sustained and a second objection sustained.
How do we know who was driving that Chevy Caprice then? How will we know? How will we ever know who's driving?
Sir, I don't know.
How many years you been in law for, man?
26.
26 years. So are you telling the jury you didn't thoroughly investigate this Chevy Caprice? That was
Yes,
intelligence.
we did.
If you thoroughly investigated, well, what a property sheet if you thoroughly investigated?
Sir, all I can tell you is that I had the property receipt attached to the evidence when it went in the GBI office evidence room. What happened to it after that point, I can't speak to.
Okay. How about the gun holster? Did you put that gun holster in Jadon Brook on the property sheet?
No, I didn't collect that as evidence.
Okay, but you was there when you found that dad. You the one who took the photo. Is that correct?
That was asked and answered on the previous occasion when he testified, and I think you went through that thoroughly, if I don't recall.
Sustained.
Well, why is it that you found the gun holster in the car, but it ain't in here for the jury to see? Why is that?
Sir, there was a photograph that was introduced.
Mr. Moore, sustained, ask and answer.
You know, I just want to be heard for the record on that objection. Just for the record.
We've covered it. Ask another question, please.
I thought it was my right to be heard on each objection.
Ask another question, please.
Did you investigate did you investigate this case for the truth, or did you investigate to convict me?
Your Honor, that's argumentative, and that's the question he asked before that you would sustain the objection.
Did anybody put a trajectory rod in that gunshot wound in that Cadillac, the hole in the Cadillac?
That's not the night that I was there, no.
Did you know they ever done it?
Oh, I don't know what was done to it after the 22nd of March.
Okay. How did that shell case get in the back of that Cadillac then?
Sir, I could only speculate. I don't know how it got there.
Okay. When you agreed that you had to put a trajectory rod in that gun hole in that Cadillac, it would have told you how that gun, that shell case got back there, the trajectory would have told you what angle that bullet come from?
No, sir. It would have told me the bullet, yes.
But you got to put a trajectory rod in there, would have told you the angle that bullet entered that Cadillac though. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you see what the angle that bullet come in that Cadillac though, and you can put it, you do a ballistic test or something on the gun, it'll show you the ejection pattern in that gun, and maybe how that shell case got in the backseat of that Cadillac. Isn't that correct?
It's possible at best.
Is it correct or is it possible?
It's possible.
How would it be possible? Tell us how it'd be possible.
Simply because regardless of how a gun ejects a shell casing, it's dependent completely on how the gun is held. If it's held upright, it may go in one direction. If it's turned to the side, it's going to go in a different direction. There's also ricochet. The cartridge casing is going to bounce. It depends on how long that cartridge casing had been in the back seat, whether someone sat there and knocked it into the final location. There are 1,000 variables that could go into how that cartridge casing got to where it was. My job was locate it and collect it, and that's what I did.
But you do agree, if you had took the time and put a trajectory rod in that Cadillac though, it would have gave you something that you could see
Yes, sir, if that was what I was interested in. But again, since there was not a gunshot reported in the kidnapping of Jadon Brooks, the bullet hole in the door wasn't relevant to what I was there for.
What you do with that gun holster? I never
He
asked
asked that when Agent Foster testified before, and he basically, that's already been answered many different times.
I recall that being asked to roster, I don't recall it being asked to roster.
Listen, what did you do with that gun holster that y'all found in Jadon Brooks' car?
The holster was left in the car on the night of March 22nd.
Did nobody retrieve it?
I did not. I can't speak to what happened after I finished my work.
But most definitely, you didn't put it in process for no evidence, did you?
That's correct. I just photographed that.
How many rounds did you say was in that gun?
Which gun?
That 40 caliber that you found in that house, how many rounds in there?
There were 7 in the magazine and 1 in the chamber.
So it was 8 more rounds in there?
There were 8 rounds in the gun, yes.
Okay. Will you agree, during that police shooting, I could have shot that gun more than 2 times?
Your Honor, that's pure speculation from that point, Judge. And we talk about what may have happened in some other cases you might have found.
I just rephrased the question.
Objection sustained.
You said there was a bullet left in that gun?
Yes.
There were 8 of them?
Yes.
Okay. So was that gun still able to fire?
I can't speak to that. Firearms examiner would have to speak to that. I don't test fire the guns.
Just assuming that gun was able to fire, I could have shot that gun more times than I
Sir,
shot.
I have no idea how the gun was loaded on the 22nd of March. All I know is how the gun was loaded on the 25th of March.
But you know not to put certain things on evidence received show it to the jury. You know that, don't you?
Your Honor, that's argumentative and I would object to it.
Sustained.
I have no further question at this moment, but I would have them for recall.
Redirect.
No, Your Honor.
You may go down.
Thank you.
Try your next witness.
Belinda Willow Phillips. Would you raise your right hand, please, ma'am? Do you solemnly swear the testimony about to give the court in this matter of State versus Jamie Donnell Hood will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Would you have a seat, please, ma'am? Pull up toward that microphone. You don't have to put your, you don't have to be right next to it, but just speak toward it, okay? Can you tell the jury your name, please, ma'am? And are you married now?
Yes.
Who are you married to?
Ronaldo Phillips.
Ronaldo Phillips?
Yes.
And is your last name now Phillips as well?
Yes.
And ma'am, can you tell the jury how old you are?
47.
And do you live in Athens right now, ma'am?
Yes.
Where are you originally from, ma'am? Where did you grow up?
Miami, Florida.
And at some point, did you leave Florida?
Yes.
And about when was that, ma'am?
In 1989.
And when you left Florida, where did you go?
Athens, Georgia.
And why did you choose Athens to come to, I guess, at that time, ma'am?
My mom and my brother had moved to Athens and said it's a better place to raise the kids.
And at that time, did you have children?
Yes.
And how many children did you have at that time, ma'am?
2.
And who were those children? And is Chandra the oldest child you have?
Yes,
And after moving here in 1989, did you live here pretty much in Athens the rest of the time, or did you move to another county at some point?
I moved to Gwinnett.
And when did you move to Gwinnett, ma'am? Do you recall about when?
Okay.
And were you living there in March of 2011?
Yes,
And what caused you to move to Gwinnett, I guess, ma'am?
I just wanted something different.
And who were you living with in Gwinnett during March of 2011?
Ronaldo Billups.
And Ronaldo Billups is your husband now?
Yes,
And let me go back if I can. Besides Chandra and Brandon, you have other children also, ma'am?
yes, one more.
And who is that?
Chandra Best.
And how old is Chandra at this point? Do you recall?
Chandra is 29. Chandra is 29.
And how about Chandra or Chandra?
Chandra is 26.
26?
Yes.
Now, do you work, ma'am?
Yes,
Where do you work?
I work at Wendy's and our partners.
And at Wendy's, which Wendy's is that, ma'am?
I'm at Winder now,
How long have you been working with Wendy's altogether?
16 years,
And how long have you been working at the Wendy's in Winder?
2 years.
And prior to that, did you work at a different Wendy's, I guess?
Prince Avenue,
The one on Prince Avenue?
yes,
Is that the one that now's been burned down?
yes,
Is that correct?
yes.
And what is your position at the Wendy's in Winder, ma'am?
I stepped down to a shift leader. I was a general manager
And when did you step down?
4 months ago when I got the job at Power Partners.
I see. But you were one of the managers there at Wendy's until you stepped down because of your second job?
Yes,
Okay. And what position did you have at the Wendy's? Do you know?
10 years.
Now, you talked about working at Power Partners. How long have you been working at Power Partners now?
4 months.
And what is Power Partners? What do they do?
We build transformers,
And what do you do for Power Partners, ma'am?
stencil, decal, just paint, whatever the KVA is for the transformer.
And ma'am, can you tell us as far as Wendy's, when do you generally work at Wendy's now, at this point, the one in Winder as a shift supervisor? When do you work there now? What are your normal hours and days that you work?
I work there 3 days a week, 10 hours a day. It's just different days,
And when you were general manager, do you work more hours over there?
50 hours a week.
And at Power Partners, how many hours do you work at Power Partners now?
8 hours a day, 40 hours a week.
So at Wendy's, you're working 30 hours, and at Power Partners, 40 hours?
Yes, sir.
Prior to you working at Power Partners, or at some point while you're working at Wendy's, did you work at any other restaurant or location here in Athens?
Years ago, I worked at Crystal,
And which one was that?
the one on Prince Avenue.
Now, let me go back, if I can, and ask you as far as Chandra and Chandra, do they have any children at all, ma'am?
Yes,
And so you have grandchildren?
yes,
And Chandra has how many children?
one.
And that child, what is that child's name, and how old is that child?
Michaela, she's 6.
And that, who is the father of Michaela?
Mandrell Hull,
And as far as Chandra, does she have any children?
she has 2.
And what are their names?
Quentin Ryden,
And is there another one?
yes, Dion Ryden,
And how old are they?
4 is Dion and Quentin is 2.
And does Dion go by Zion
Yes,
on occasion, is that correct?
yes.
And when was Zion born? Do you remember, or?
2010.
Now, and who was their father?
Dion Ryan.
And is he married to Chandra?
Yes.
Now, let me go back to March of 2011. Are you familiar with that duplex located at 102 Creekstone Drive here in Athens off Bowley Drive?
Yes.
Who was living there at that time, ma'am?
Chandra, Bessie, Mandre, and Michaela.
And do you know Shadon Janique Bess?
Yes, that's my niece.
And how old is she now? Do you know exactly?
17.
And in March of 2011, where was she living?
And she was living with them as well.
Now, in March of 2011, were you working as a manager there at the Wendy's on Prince Avenue?
Yes.
And at the time you were living in Gwinnett County
Yes.
with Ronaldo Billups?
Yes.
Where was Ronaldo working?
Omnisource.
And where was that located? Do you know?
Right off of Old Hood Road.
And what kind of business is that? Do you?
A recycling business.
What time did he generally go to work, ma'am?
At different times, sometimes at 5, sometimes at 6 a.m.
Now, tell me, when y'all were living in Gwinnett and working over here, did y'all come over in different cars, or did you drive over together at any time?
We drove over together.
And did you have a separate car?
Yes.
What kind of car did you have?
A 2006 Dodge Charger.
What color was it?
Blue.
And when you rode over here, how did y'all get here, and what happened with your Charger? Did you keep it in Gwinnett? Did you have it here, or how did y'all get it? Did you drive it over here?
We drove it from Gwinnett to Athens. And then Ronaldo would get in his truck and go to work.
Where would his truck be parked?
And 102 Creekstone over Chandra House.
And so when you would ride over here together in your Charger there, before he got in his truck to go to work, what would you do after he left for work?
I would go inside and go back to sleep.
What time did you normally have to go to work when you did work on a particular day?
On the Monday, I had to be there at 5 o'clock. On any other day, I had to be there at 7 o'clock a.m.
And when you went in 102 Creekstone to sleep until you had to go to work, where would you generally sleep?
On the couch right next to the door.
Now, let me go back, if I can, ma'am, to that Thursday, March 24, 2011. On that day, do you remember knowing on that day about what had happened to the officers on Sycamore?
Yes.
And on that day, were you aware, did you know anybody by the name of Jadon Brooks or Maury Ray or Kenyatta Campbell at all?
I didn't know him. I just heard their name in the street.
How about Jamie Hood? Did you know him at all before that day?
No.
Now, on that particular day, were you supposed to work that day?
No, I was off that day.
That Thursday?
Yes.
And about what time was Ronaldo supposed to go to work that day, if you remember?
I think it was like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Now, tell us, if you will, that day, when he got up to go to work, did you stay at home at that time since you didn't have to go to work, or did you wind up going with him?
I ended up going with him.
So did y'all drive up here together?
Yes.
And did you go to Creekstone like you normally do?
Yes.
And when you got to Creekstone, did he get in his truck and go to work?
Yes.
And what did you do, ma'am?
Went inside the house
you actually get to sleep, or did you stay awake the whole time?
I dozed off.
And ma'am, if you will, while you were dozed off there on the couch, would you tell us what do you remember next?
I remember Shay waking the kids up, sitting on Unique in my cradle, telling them to get up, get ready for school. I remember her asking she don't you need to go crank the car up, and I asked her did she want me to drop the kids off at school, and she said she had enough time. So I just laid back down. So she underneath went outside, cranked the car up. When she came back inside, just noticed somebody was behind her.
What did you notice, ma'am?
Didn't know who it was that fucked. But it's all coming. It looked straight to the back, where the bedroom was. His face did. Hood. He said, that's right. It's me.
Then what happened?
He went to the room. I couldn't see nothing because I was still on the couch. And I heard when he told me and Andrea to get up, that he didn't see me. So I picked up my keys and my phone and my dog, and I was getting ready to leave. But I couldn't leave.
Why couldn't you leave, ma'am?
I don't want to leave. My child, my grandchild in the house. So I laid back down on the couch.
And then what do you recall next, ma'am?
But asking Mandrell for some money. Mandrell said he didn't have none. Then he asked where the girl was. So Shay went and got Michaela.
Where did he have the gun at that time?
I don't know where the gun was because I was in the living room and I couldn't see him no more because they was in the back. Then everybody came up to the front. And we all went in the back. He put all of us in the bathroom.
How did he do that, ma'am?
Just told all of us to get in the bathroom and we all walked in the bathroom. He took the couch and locked the bathroom door. I was crying. He told me to be quiet. Because I get on his nerve. But all that whining, I couldn't stop crying.
Who was in the bathroom at that time, ma'am?
Me, Cheryl, Mandrell,
that bathroom, man, was that the one that you went into from the living room?
Yes.
And before you went in that bathroom, did you see the weapon after he came out of the master bedroom?
Just kept my head down.
And that bathroom there, was the door closed?
He kept it open.
And you said he put something in front of the the bathroom door?
Yes.
What was that?
The couch.
And what happened with y'all inside that bathroom? You know, about how long you stayed, or what you heard, or what happened at all?
He was just talking. And Montreal, can't remember what was being said. Montreal asked, can he come out and smoke? Then he asked, who was driving that blue Charger? And Montreal said, my mother-in-law. Then he looked at me and he said, I'm sorry, ma'am. He said that. Kept telling Shay. Shay kept saying, he don't leave Mom, because he had said he was going to leave that night. And I kept telling Shay he wasn't going nowhere. She kept telling me he was. I kept telling her he wasn't. I said, he ain't going nowhere. She was like, yes, he is. And I kept telling her no. I said, he got somewhere to rest, he been running. Got somewhere to sit down and relax, he ain't going nowhere. Time went by, and Andrea asked, can we go in the master bedroom?
Asked who to go in the master bedroom?
Yes, Jamie can, he moved us to the master bedroom.
And when you say Jamie, the person who came in with the gun that you referred to as Jamie, is he in the courtroom now?
Yes,
Would you point him out, please, ma'am?
right now.
Did the record reflect he's identified the defendant? She's identified the defendant, Judge. And he asked the defendant, what about the master bedroom?
He was asking, Mandrea was asking, can we go in there, because it was so crowded in the bathroom. So he went in, blocked everything off the back door, the windows in the bedroom. And he let us go in there.
How did he block those off?
Had a mattress to one of them. I can't recall what was all of them. I really wasn't paying any attention what was at the door, at the window.
And did y'all go in the master bedroom at that time, ma'am?
Yes,
Was it all of y'all that went in there?
yes,
And when y'all went in there, was the door closed or left open?
it was left open.
Where was the defendant at that time?
He was always in the living room.
Was he looking in y'all's direction?
I couldn't see him because from where I was laying to the wall. And I couldn't see him.
And how long did y'all remain in the master bedroom there, ma'am? Do you know?
The following day, which was Friday.
And tell me about cell phones. Did you or anybody else have any cell phones?
We all had a cell phone. He got all the cell phones. My cell phone kept ringing. And it was my mom.
And did you ever answer that phone in a certain way, or what happened?
Yeah, answered. He told us to answer the phone.
Why was that?
He wanted everything to be normal.
Did he tell you what to say, or maybe what not to say when you answer the phone, or what to do generally?
He just said, act normal. So I picked up the phone, but I told my mom I had a headache. And I hung up the phone. So Renato kept calling. paid me $100. He said, if you call or tell anybody anything, their blood gonna be on your hands.
Whose blood was gonna be on your hands?
Shell, Michaela, Shadon, Janika, and Andrea.
And at that time, did you wind up going to lunch?
Yeah, I did.
Did he tell you anything else about where to go other than lunch?
Yeah, he told me while I was out to pick up some bullets and get him a cell phone.
And did you actually go to lunch with Bernardo?
Yes,
Is that the first thing you did, or did you go for the bullets and the cell phone?
I went to lunch first.
And did you have lunch with Bernardo?
Yeah, I just missed it.
Just 1 second, John, please, while that passes. Did you recall, if you do, where you had lunch at all?
I think it was McDonald's. We went and picked some up, and we went back to his job.
And did you tell Bernardo anything that happened at all?
No,
Why not?
'cause he told me if I tell anybody or anything, that their blood was gonna be on my hands, so I can tell him.
And how did you act around Bernardo at that time?
I was nervous, just anxious to get back
And after having lunch with Bernardo, where did you go?
to Walmart to pick up the bullets.
And which Walmart was that? Do you recall?
Went on Lexington Road.
On the east side there?
Yes,
And did you know what kind of bullets to pick up? Did he tell you that?
told me to pick up some 44s.
And did you actually buy a box of ammo there?
Yes,
And did you do anything in regard to a cell phone, like he'd asked?
I went on to CVS and picked up the cell phone.
And from that, after that, did you come back to Creekstone at that time?
You know, Chandler kept calling me, telling me to hurry up, babe.
And did she say why you needed to hurry up?
And she said he started getting worried because I was taking too long.
And did you get back over there?
Yes, I told her I was pulling up.
And when you got back over there, do you recall, was anybody else there other than Chandra, Mandrell, Michaela, and Shadon Janique?
No,
And after getting back over there, did you give him the ammunition as well as the cell phone?
yes.
And at that time, what happened after you arrived back over there?
I went back in the room and laid down again. There. He was telling Mandrell to call Deanna.
When Dion riding?
Yes. Mandrell didn't want to. And he kept telling him to call me, so Mandrell ended up calling me.
And what happened after that?
Quentin was taking long, so he finally came.
What happened when Quentin came?
When he walked in the door, that's when he noticed James. And he had Zion with him. So I told Shay to go get Zion and bring him in the room with us.
Where was Zion that Shay went to get him from?
Quentin.
And did she do that? Did she get Zion and take him in the master bedroom?
Yes.
And where was Quentin at that time?
He was still in the living room.
What happened after that?
He finally walked back there, and I asked him what Chandra was.
What did he say?
So she was getting her hair did. So I'm like, okay. And no more than 10 or 15 minutes, there was Chandra.
Chandra Ray came to the apartment?
Yes,
And what happened when she came to the apartment?
I heard when she said hood. And he said, that's right, this bitch. She ended up coming to the back too.
And that time, what happened after that, ma'am?
We lost him in the day. Chandra was laughing. She don't take anything serious at the moment. So I was still laying down. Everybody was talking. Then it was time for Ronaldo to get off.
And what happened at that point?
He told me Ronaldo come to go outside where he had and calm him down. He said, because I know him. So Ronaldo pulled up. I went outside. I still didn't tell him nothing. She asked me why I didn't have on my clothes. We supposed to then get ready to leave. And I told him I was just getting ready to get dressed. So when we walked back in the house, that's when Ronaldo saw him. He was standing to the far end of the wall.
And what happened then when Bernardo came in?
Ronaldo walked in, and he was like, what's going on? Like, this is what it is. Just come over there and sit over there. So I walked back in the room.
In the master bedroom?
Yes,
Where was Bernardo at that time?
he was in the living room. He stayed out there for a minute, and he walked back that way we was, and asked everybody was they okay. He was telling us everything gonna be okay. Everything gonna be fine.
And what happened after he got over there, ma'am, the rest of that evening, if you will?
Everybody was sitting there. And my mom kept calling. Andre was supposed to take her to get her some hair. So she kept calling. So Jamie gave one of the girls, I think it was Shay, $100 and told her to go over there and buy hair. Shay didn't go, Chandra went. And every time you walked out the door, he reminded you, if you don't come back, what he was going to do to the rest of us who was left in the house. So she went, she came back. He was talking about, he didn't mean to kill the white police officer. He was sorry for that. But he meant Tony Howard. So every time he mentioned Tony's name, he just get mad. He was telling us when he was in jail, how Tony Howard used to be beating on him, putting on gloves and all. And he was saying how dirty he was. And he just kept saying he didn't mean to kill that white police officer, that he really did.
Do you remember him saying anything at all about Jadon Brooks at all?
He was talking about how he put him in a trunk. And he didn't know how he got out. And he was talking about how he was running up the road. Something about he had some water boiling. He was going to scald him with the water. He was going to take him to Atlanta.
say what he was gonna do with Jadon?
After he bought the waters, they were going to Atlanta, and he was gonna kill him.
Did he say who was with him over there when this happened to Jadon?
It were 3 more guys, but he never mentioned who they was. He just said that he'll never mention who they was, and nobody never know who they are.
That's what he said?
Yes,
Did he ever say anything about Omari Ray?
yeah.
What did he say?
He said Omar was a good boy. He said he just went over there to ask him where did Ken stay. And he said he started hollering for his mom. And it pissed him off. So he shot him. And he said if his mama would have came outside, would have shot him too.
Did he say how many times he shot Omari Ray?
No.
You mentioned something about a connection. Did you ever say anything about a connection at all?
He was just talking about that was that he hooked them up with a connection. And they used to ride down there together. Just so happened, I guess they didn't take him.
Did he say about anything that he may have done or wanted to do about the connection?
He was talking about he had went to the Connect house and it was laying in the snow. But so happened when the guy got back, he had his kids in the car.
Did he ever talk to y'all about why he wound up in the Creekstone area that you recall?
He said he was over there waiting on the bishop and Rashid to come. Cause he was gonna kill them, but then he never come home. So he ended up over there and he was just waiting on the first person that he see. And so happened, shit down Jamaica was the first one to come outside.
Did he ever mention anything about the drive-by?
He was talking about on the Black Road, doing the drive-by. And first it was, he wanted Mantrell and Renato. And he was talking about putting Kayla in the front seat with Mantrell, and he was going to be in the back seat. And Mantrell was like, no, not my child. And he said, it's okay, we don't do that.
What did he say he was going to do over there at the Black Road?
He said he was going to kill the dad. He said something about the behead his sister Brandy.
And as far as this man, these conversations that he had, was that over the period of time that he was at Creekstone? That he
Yes.
made those comments?
Yes.
And did this go on from that Thursday into that Friday, well into that Friday night?
Yes.
Where were you required to spend most of the time during that time?
In the room.
Master bedroom?
Yes.
Were others there with you?
Chanfrey, Michaela, Zion, and Shitangeli.
And during that time, do you recall seeing the gun again at different times throughout that time period?
No.
Why is that?
I was in the room most of the time.
And tell me basically, do you recall basically how it is that this all ended? How did that start happening and what happened as it was winding down, I guess?
Ronaldo was like, it got to stop, it's got to stop. So he gave us our home. And I texted my district manager where I was. So phones started ringing crazy. So it got to the point where he was ready to surrender. So as we was in there, Ronaldo called the police and Jamie got on the phone and was in his Jamie hood. He was talking to him. And whoever he was talking to was aggravating him. Just kept saying stuff he didn't want to hear.
What do you mean it was aggravating? How do you know that?
His voice, one minute he'll be calm, and when he got on the phone with him, whoever it was, it wasn't saying what he wanted. He was telling them what he wanted, and it was saying something else. And he was like, "Oh, you're fired. I don't want to talk to you no more." So he talked to somebody else, and they was talking. So all of us went into the bedroom. Well, we was already in the bedroom, and Trevor was in the living room. And he told all of us to get in the bed. Everybody come in the bed. He said his shit getting ready to go down. So all of us was in the master bedroom. The kids, Zion kept crying. So he was saying, shut his ass up, shut him up, he get on my nerves. And then I was like, man, you don't talk to my child like that. It was getting out of hand. So everybody's phone was ringing. So I called my sister. I told her to please put on Facebook to tell people to stop calling the phones because he getting irritated. So all of that was going on. And Jadon got on the phone talking about what he would have did, and Kenyatta and some other guy called, and then all the Korean people started calling, telling them what he gonna do and what they were gonna do.
And ma'am, at some point, did Quentin and Mandrell and Zion and Michaela wound up leaving the residence?
Yes.
How did that go down?
At first, he was gonna let Sheldrake and Shandrick go. Then he changed it and he said he was gonna let the father take the kids out.
Did you say why?
He said he had better leverage with the women in the house. So Mandrell and Quentin, Michaela and Tanya left. And we was all left in there. So when he started talking to the police, he said he wanted his mama a lawyer. And at first he didn't want the cameras. Then he changed it that he wanted the cameras. And they were saying they couldn't get them. But all the while we were looking at the TV, and he knew it was around the corner because they already knew what was going on. And every time they tell him something, and he knew it was a lie, he just got more upset. So finally everybody came. He told everybody to line up. And he took his shirt off. And he told Ronaldo to take his shirt off. So we walked outside.
And at that time, he was taken into custody.
Yes, when we got out there, they made all of us lay down. So they had the gun to Ronaldo's head. And he said, yeah, I am right here. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm trying to hood this for y'all want. So they moved from Ronaldo.
Ma'am, if I can, let me ask you, Terrence Lumpkin, at some point did a Terrence Lumpkin come to the residence? during this process, do you recall?
Yes.
Do you know about when that may have been?
I recall, I know he came and he left.
And after all this, ma'am, let me strike that if I can. That's all I have of Ms. Phillips at this time, Judge.
May I cross-examine